Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video brought to you by webvidtuts.com. This is a video 2 in a Stronghold Kingdom series, and in this video I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a beginner's guide to starting out in Stronghold Kingdoms. So basically, after you've picked your location on the map, you can either select a random location or you can manually select your location. I went ahead and, this is World 9 by the way, it's on day 21, so it hasn't been out that much. So I can give you a pretty good representation of how a starting village is going to be like building. Of course, your village isn't going to look like mine in the beginning. It's going to look more like this one, because in this game, the more buildings you add to your village, the bigger it's going to appear on the map. So this guy right here probably doesn't have that many buildings in it, maybe a couple. So I think he actually probably went inactive or something. So it's going to look more like that. And then once you start putting some more buildings in it, like my village, then it's going to appear pretty large, a little bit larger on the map. And a maxed out village will look like this guy's over here. That's what a maxed out village will look like. So once you get a lot of buildings into your village, it'll look like that on the map. So let me go ahead and go into my village and show you guys a little bit how it's going to start. You're going to have your granary over here you're going to start out with, and then you have your stockpile over here. That's usually the place, pretty much the default place that puts your granary at and your stockpile. If you have a premium token, you can actually move these around. It'll have a green arrow right here. You can click on that, and then you can place it wherever you want. Although right now I don't have a premium token on this world, but on the other worlds I do. They come in really handy, and I'll show you later why they're so handy. And like I said in the other video, it's kind of like a pay-to-win game, and that's kind of the thing that gives you a huge advantage over people that don't have the premium tokens. So once you start out, you might have went through the tutorial already, but I'll give you a little bit more advice about everything on here. This is pretty much a little demonstration of what all my villages look like in the beginning, and eventually, once we start getting bigger, more things researched, I'm going to have a cathedral down here, a lot more iron mines down here, multiple food groups right here, a lot of ale production like this up here, and maybe my markets behind here or somewhere. And then usually over in here in this area, I'll have all my weapon making and everything. So over here on the granary, what you want to do is put all your food buildings next to this, because the closer they are, the more efficient they are. As you can see, I put a dairy farm kind of close to it. I'll make 1377, but if I put it a lot farther, and you can see this little arrow that's pointing to the granary. So if you have it really far, it's going to turn yellow. That means it's not really efficient or anything. You're not going to make as much cheese as you would if you had it closer like this. So that's important to put all your food groups around here. And the more food groups you have, it's going to increase your popularity from food rations. And popularity is something that you'll need to pretty much always have high in the beginning. As the more popularity you have, the more honor you receive. And here's where your honor per day is from this particular village. Every time you go to a different village, it'll have a different number right there. So this is the honor multiplier. There's a research that you can do. It's called arts. I get 36 from that, and that times by the 79 popularity. If I increase my popularity, my honor per day increases too. Although right now I'm giving tax money away, so I'm actually losing money also. And I'll go over this in a second again. And over here, there's another popularity thing for ale, which mine's set to the max, so I'm actually not making enough. And if you don't make enough, it'll turn this little multiplier right here red, and it'll just give you the bonus that's adequate to it. So if I'm making the maximum's on ale is 24, so I can't make times 4, so it just goes to 20. So you won't get penalized to 0 or whatever if you're not making enough ale or whatever. So that's pretty nice. It accommodates for it. And then over here, I have my woodcutters. And then over here, I have my stone. The stockpile is a pretty balanced distance between the two. So I'm getting a pretty good amount of wood every day and a good amount of stone. So I'm pretty balanced in that department. And then usually I'll have my weapons makings around here, as that's kind of like where they put the weapons at right here. As you can see, the green arrow points to the stockpile. If I put it over here, it's not efficient. If I put it next to it, it's very efficient. Same thing with the woodcutters and the stone quarries. They are sent to the stockpile. And then you'll have these things called banqueting goods, if you have it researched. I personally don't use banqueting goods, but a lot of people swear by them. I think it's just a very cumbersome process to make all the banqueting goods, as they take a lot of research and they also take a lot of space in your villages to produce the banqueting goods. Although they do give you a pretty good amount of honor in the beginning. Although I find that later in the game they've become very what's the word? Very uh, I guess inefficient, I guess you'd say. You just don't make enough of it to really do anything anymore. Like once it gets to Marquis, Duke, Prince rank, it's kind of irrelevant, I guess you would say. But it just takes so much space up to produce everything, and then it just doesn't give you enough. I mean, and plus it's a hassle to transport the banqueting goods from one village to another. And I'll show you in a second the different kind of villages you can have, because different villages produce different banqueting goods. The lowlands, they'll produce the first four right here, but then after these last four, you have to have a specialized village for. And these other specialized villages, they might not have any iron in them or whatever, so it becomes a huge burden to send iron to these villages, and it's just a pain to transport all these goods or whatever. I'll show you the other villages right here you can get. The first one you start out with is lowland. You can actually convert it to whatever one of these villages you want, but there's a valley side which grows wine, or grows grapes for the wine, whatever, or produces wine, I should say. There's a salt flat which produces salt, river 1 for spices, river 2 for silk, and then you have a marsh which gives you pitch, a very good, abundant amount of pitch actually, and then you have plains, which I find pretty useless. Highlands, they're pretty well good. Mountain peaks are pretty good. Forests, they're okay. But as you can see here, some of these villages don't produce a certain amount of food. Some don't have any iron or anything, so it's really kind of a win-lose situation here for some of these villages. It depends what kind of village type you really want. But me, personally, I have all lowlands. And if you're a fighter in the game, all lowlands are pretty key to producing weapons. Enough weapons for you to go send troops and produce troops. So that's a little bit about the your village a little bit. I think I'll go ahead and move on to research. Usually the things that I research in the beginning, I'll show you the tree right here. One important thing to research is arts, as this gives you a pretty good multiplier for your honor. And it'll just help you level up a bit faster in the beginning. And I'll show you over here about the banqueting goods I was talking about earlier. Here's the first research for the banqueting, and it has all these over here just for the banqueting, which that takes a lot of research points, and you can be using those research points for other pretty essential aspects of the game. And usually the thing I research in the beginning is farming. And the reason is because it'll allow you to get this multiplier, this popularity multiplier up here, up pretty well. In a lowland, you can be producing 5 food groups. So if you have 5 food groups being added to your popularity, that'll increase it to I think it's 72 popularity. So that'll be a big boost in your popularity, and then you'll get more peasants, and then more honor. So it's pretty nice. And one other thing is that you don't have to be on the game all the time to actually spend the honor or whatever, like you do banqueting goods. You have to click a button and actually use it or whatever. This is pretty much just passive. You can be away from your computer for hours and they're still producing an honor, which is nice. And then here's just different other farming food groups that you'll have. Here's vegetables, wheat, Then another important thing on farming is the hops. I have my hops pretty well high. This is because it's pretty much just the easy 24 popularity bonus. Of course, mine's not all the way up, but if I had a couple more research points on it, then I'd be producing plenty of ale for the peasants. Oops. Here's the Parish Leaderboards, or the Parish Boards, I should say. Another thing that I like to research is several military aspects, because on the world you'll see these little wolf layers. If I can find one, like right here, if you attack that, you'll get an easy little bit of honor from that if they succeed. I think even if they fail, sometimes you'll get honor. I think that's on the big castles, like the wolf castles and stuff. It's just a really good way to show your presence in the world and get a pretty good amount of honor from them, really. Another thing that other people like to research is, let me find it, scouts. Me, I don't really use scouts that much, although a lot of the quests in the beginning, here's the quest tab right here, a lot of them in the beginning are for scouts, like foraging trips and stuff. So it does help you complete those, although in my personal experience, like let's say if I scouted this, it's going to take 13 minutes to get there with my scouting research. Usually there's several other people that are scouting that same thing at the same time, and I just don't feel like it's really that useful, in my opinion. Because there's scouting cards that you can buy and increase your scout speed for 3 hours. I just see a lot of people using that, and usually I'm the last one to ever get a stash. And another thing about these resource stashes is that if you're the first one to get it, then you get a little bit of honor, which is nice. Actually, let me see my scout out there. So back to the research. So yeah, what I do usually will be like force march and stuff to take down wolf layers and stuff. Again, that's kind of like the scouting thing. Usually you'll have some dude on all the time that's always taking these wolf layers out. So that's why I would just stick to farming in the beginning, as there's no competition for farming. The farming tab, I should say. There's other people that get on the game and just farm. I'm sure you've heard of that in many other games. But yeah, I would just stick with farming a lot. But then again, there's different things you can do. My way might be different than someone else's, but we might be very efficient. We might have different efficient ways that we gain honor in the beginning. And another thing that is pretty essential to research is mathematics. It reduces your research time, which doesn't seem like a lot in the beginning, but after you've been playing the game on the world for 30 days or something, these researches will take a long time to complete. And that really cuts down on the amount of time that it takes, which is really, really nice. Engineering is another good one. And the stockpiles, if you don't get on a whole lot, then these will help you just retain your resources and it gives more capacity. Another good thing is merchants. Let me actually research that, because it allows you to sell your goods to the parish to make money, which you can use that money to either buy research points or buy goods from the parish. Another good thing is art, like I said earlier. Another good thing too is which one is it? Literature and decoration. I'll show you down here. In literature, you get these little popularity buildings that you can place down next to your keep, and it'll give you a popularity boost. The maximum you can get on each of these is 6 points to popularity, so they come in handy, definitely. And these decoration ones, they give you a multiplier to your honor. So down here, if you go to my honor, you'll see these decorative tabs. And then the more buildings you place, the higher this little number right here is going to go up. Right now it's 0 because I have none, but I'll show you real quick. The first one, if you put this close, I think it's 1. I think dovecotes are 4. These stone statues are 6. These flowers give you 6, and this one gives you 8. So if you have these all close to your keep, then you can get a pretty good little multiplier. I think these are actually 2 right here, the flower beds. I'm not exactly sure that I don't usually place those down. And all of these the literature and decoration buildings, the closer you place them to the keep, the more effective they are. And of course, getting the stone production up right here is always essential, and plus the wood. And tools I find pretty good too, because it'll reduce the building cost of everything, which you won't have to produce as much of them to build something. Iron mining would be good, as then you can make weapons and everything from there. Banquetings, like I said, if you stay on the game a lot and transport it from village to village, it'd be good. But if you don't get on the game that much, then it just takes up a lot of room in your village, and it's a hassle. But that's just in my opinion. I know a lot of people that swear by Banqueting Goods. And then down here you'll have your weapon making. In the beginning, I recommend doing fletching. That's for archers. Get a few points on that, so that we can have some bows to defend your castle with. Which your castle will just be the keep in the beginning, with maybe a wood wall around it. And I'll explain doing the castle in another video. Just put a few walls down. There we go. Another thing I recommend researching in the beginning a little bit, like a few points on, is where is it at? Theology. Because later in the game you're going to be using what's called faith points. They're these points right here. And if you're going to be away from the game a little while, you really don't want your village to be attacked or anything. And you can use these faith points to actually use monks to interdict your villages for 4 hours each. And that just becomes really nice, because then you don't have to worry about that village at all. You don't have to worry about it getting attacked. And it also stops AI castles and stuff like that. You can also do different things with monks, such as excomming people, which prevents them from using interdiction, or excomming yourself, and whatever, and blessing the parishes. And there's many different aspects to monking. I'll probably explain that in another video. I believe that is all. And another thing is to obviously get your castle research up, I guess you'd say. One thing, fortification for castles. It allows you to build these towers and different kind of castle structures. Vaults is pretty good, although I wouldn't recommend. I guess you could put a few points on this, but I don't think it's really essential in the beginning, since not many people attack you. But later in the game, I would definitely put this up, as it takes more time to pillage your castle. But many people don't pillage in the beginning. Most of the time. Depends on who you're around, really. Defenses is a pretty good one, as it allows you to build guard houses to put more troops inside your castles. Diplomacy is a good one to have, as it stops enemy AI attacks coming and hitting your castles. Construction is really good, as it decreases the amount of time it takes to build castle structures. Sally Forest is pretty good, although I really wouldn't recommend it, especially in the beginning. Maybe put a few points on it, but I really wouldn't max that out till later, as there's more important things to really research besides that. And then command's a pretty good one to research, as it allows you to have a bigger army size in your villages, which is pretty essential to defending your villages. And I think that's pretty much it for now on researches. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now on researches. I would say that's a pretty good beginner's guide of how to really do anything. I'll be going over some more topics in later videos. I just don't want to get too in-depth with anything right now. I'm just trying to give you a little broad example of how to do everything. Okay, well, I think that is all for today, and I think this video is good. So stay tuned for some more videos from me. If you can go ahead and rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe, that would be awesome. And I will produce some more videos the more views that we get on these videos. Thank you all, and you all have a good day.